Tony Khan has revealed that at the Full Gear pay-per-view, one of the best wrestlers in the world will put pen to paper on an AEW contract, though the identity of the individual was kept a mystery. In a social media post, he would say, AEW has agreed terms with one of the world's best wrestlers, a pro who is known plus respected by virtually every AEW fan. They'll come to LA to sign their contract this Saturday. The announcement has led to a ton of speculation as to who the surprise will be, and whilst there are some obvious candidates to consider, there are also some names that are outright impossible. And in today's video, we'll break down the most commonly discussed candidates to discuss the chances of them being the mystery signing. One popular theory is that Tony Khan is set to put his differences aside with CM Punk and re-sign him to a new AEW deal, this after he was terminated from the company earlier this year. With that said, there is specific wording in Khan's post that perhaps rules this possibility out, that being remarks that the wrestler is respected by virtually every AEW fan. While CM Punk certainly has a large fan base, it's safe to say that a portion of the AEW crowd have a strong dislike for the most divisive wrestler of a generation. Dolph Ziggler is another common name that I've seen in response to the post, this after he was released from WWE in September. Whilst he would fit the bill as one of the best in-ring talents today, with him being massively underutilized in WWE, it's safe to say that we can rule him out. All of the names on the September WWE main roster releases, including Dolph Ziggler and Matt Riddle, are all bound to a 90-day non-compete clause that doesn't expire until December 20. Whilst NXT contracts hold a 30-day non-compete clause, Ziggler was recently NXT champion. He was likely tied down to a main roster deal at the time rather than a developmental contract, meaning he isn't free for another month. Sami Callihan has sat near the top of the wrestling free agency market ever since his Impact Wrestling contract came to an end on September 27, with individuals in both WWE and AEW pushing for their respective companies to sign him. Specifically in the case of All Elite Wrestling, Fightful Select would recently report that Jon Moxley has been calling for Tony Khan to sign his former tag team partner to a contract, although as of now there is no word on if this has been followed through on. What we do know is that Callihan was spotted backstage at a recent taping of AEW Collision, and according to Bodyslam.net, was there to discuss a potential deal to work both in an on-screen capacity as well as in a backstage role, but again, there's no confirmation that anything was agreed. Some fans have floated the name of Bill Goldberg as a potential candidate to sign for AEW, something that's been the case ever since he left WWE at the start of the year when his deal expired. As a huge World Championship Wrestling fan, as well as a real-life friend of Bill's, it feels like a signing Tony Khan would be willing to make in order to give the former world champion the send-off he deserves, similar to how we're in the midst of the Sting retirement tour. With Bill clearly looking to hang up his boots on his own terms, All Elite Wrestling seems like the best option at this point, although maybe this would be a signing too far for AEW fans when it comes to older wrestlers. Former UFC and WWE champion Ronda Rousey is another name that finds herself on the free agency list. This after she worked her final match on her WWE deal back at SummerSlam in August, losing to former MMA training partner Shayna Baszler under MMA rules. Since then, Rousey has worked a total of 2 matches on the independent scene, one for Lucha Vavoom on October 26, where she teamed with other fellow MMA training partner and current AEW star Marina Shafir to defeat Brian Kendrick in AEW's Taya Valkyrie. This isn't where the All Elite opponents ended, however, as she would last night work a match for Wrestling Revolver, once again teaming with Shafir to take on Billy Starks and current ROH Women's Champion Athena. The match would ultimately end in a win for the Rowdy one, however it would be scored as a disqualification win after Athena struck Ronda with her Ring of Honor belt. Could this be a sign that the rivalry is set to continue not only in the Tony Khan-owned ROH, but in AEW too? Don't forget that both Rousey's independent matches have taken place in Los Angeles, California, the home of Saturday's Full Gear pay-per-view, so she's certainly in the area where AEW to call. Katsuyori Shibata has established himself as a regular on the Ring of Honor roster over the past year, with him winning the ROH Pure Championship from Daniel Garcia on his debut for the promotion back in March 2023. He's been working under the Tony Khan umbrella without a contract up until this point, although he appears to be more than open to agreeing a long-term deal with AEW and ROH were the opportunity to present itself. The former New Japan Cup winner certainly has the respect of the internet wrestling community, so he checks one of the claims within Khan's tweets fights, with him also no doubt considered one of the best in-ring talents in the world and has been for quite some time. I wouldn't rule out Shibata as the one to become officially all elite, and notably, Tony Khan said nothing about the mystery wrestler being a debutant, something that will come into consideration later in the video. The Devil has lurked in the shadows of All Elite Wrestling for a number of weeks, ordering attacks on those that get close to the AEW World Champion MJF. Whilst it remains unclear as to the true identity of the man behind the mask, you get the feeling that this person is trying to clear the field for themselves in order to get to the champion, taking out both his friends and foe. Could it be the case that the Devil, while still in disguise, will sign an official contract with the company this Saturday night as a way for Tony Khan to take back his world title before MJF enters the bidding war of 2024. There are those that believe the Devil is in fact Khan himself, although it is just as possible that he's merely working alongside the Masked Man in order to stop Max from using his belt as leverage in somewhat of a spin of the Montreal Screwjob, something that could ultimately come to fruition at World's End in the champ's hometown of Long Island. One likely candidate is former WWE and IWGP Women's Champion Mercedes MONE, who is currently a free agent, this following claims from New Japan's Rocky Romero that talks would need to be held with her agent were she to make a return to the company, a suggestion that a deal is not in place at this point. Mercedes has been recovering from an ankle injury since May 2023, something she suffered during the finals to crown the first ever New Japan Strong Women's Champion, resulting in a change of plans on the fly. She was recently spotted in the audience at AEW All in London at Wembley Stadium, the first official tease of her impending debut, although if a recent report from Fightful Select is to be believed, MONE is not the mystery signing, at least according to All Elite Wrestling sources. Fightful were able to confirm that Mercedes is now no longer in a walking boot, with her one step closer to a complete recovery. There are currently plans in place for her to work with AEW going forward, but there's no sign of when this will happen. Another talent that's been speculated to be the new AEW signing is current IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay, who has made several appearances in AEW via the Forbidden Door from New Japan Pro-Wrestling. He certainly fits the bill as one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, although all reports suggest that he's currently under contract with New Japan until February 2023. This would mean he wouldn't be able to enter discussions with AEW until then, at which point talks could also open up with WWE, creating a bidding war between the two top promotions in the world. Perhaps to avoid this, Tony Khan has bought out the Aerial Assassin's contract in order to prevent him from hitting free agency, something that could be plausible considering the strong relationship between NJPW and AEW, this whilst agreeing to allow Ospreay to work any planned New Japan dates going forward. Adding to this theory is the fact that the reliable Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men podcast has revealed he was told the signing is Ospreay, although we now await official confirmation. When you pay attention to the wording from Tony Khan, he didn't say anything about the individual being a new member of the roster, just that one of the best wrestlers in the world and somebody who is respected by the AEW fans will sign a contract. Throughout the past couple of years, current AEW World Champion MJF has been teasing the fact that his All Elite Wrestling contract comes to an end in January 2024, something that is just 1 month away. He's also consistently remarked that he will allow this deal to expire in order to enter the bidding war of 2024 between WWE and AEW before taking the highest money offer. Well, what if, in order to establish MJF as the top babyface in All Elite Wrestling, the promotion have planned a segment that will see the current world champion put pen to paper on a brand new contract in the middle of the ring, solidifying his status as the people's champion and the leader of the company. It certainly works from a narrative standpoint, and it could even lead to an in-person confrontation between Max and the Devil, or perhaps even the revelation that MJF was the Devil all along. And before you go, make sure you check out The Devil Unmasked, who is behind the mask in AEW.